Hey traders, I hope you can hear me out there. Just right in the chat room right here, in the YouTube chat room, if you can hear me, to be sure that the audio is broadcasting. And then we will move forward. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. So, before I start showing you charts, I would just like to show this to anyone that has not found their way to Live with Oscar yet. If you like what you see in the chart segment, if you like my videos I post in the evenings, if you'd like to be part of trading with us each day, just literally come down to livewithoscar.com, register. We ask for no information, no credit cards, no nonsense at all. This is all you need to fill out. Two-step verification to make sure you're not a robot. And just like that, you log in and you can come find me at Chat Live with Oscar. You click Chat Live with Oscar and boom, you literally click this button and you are in a live chat room with me. So I'm very easy to find. I may have a picture of that chat room to show you. Let me just see if I can find it. I have 1,000 things open at the moment, so maybe it's not there. So no, I am actually logged out of the chat room at the moment. It is up and running, of course. I'm just not in there presenting. But you'll find me there about 20 hours a day. Anyway, welcome to the site. Welcome to looking at technical analysis. This is NASDAQ, live as you see it for trading right now and moving forward this evening. Remember, before we get started, that trading is risky. I always must remind everyone about that. Please know, put your stops in first. Never trade without them. Never listen to anyone who tells you you can't lose in this business, because they'd be lying to you. Just know it's very risky. Futures, options, stocks, that stuff can really go to the wrong side on you if you don't respect the market and you don't put your stops in. And if you have trouble, join me at livewithoscar.com. We'll figure it out together. So, you are looking at the NASDAQ. And in fact, right before we really discuss the charts, I wanted to ask a question, and maybe you can leave comments under this video, write me an email right here now. You can answer in the YouTube chat room. But what would be the best time to present? I thought 2 o'clock Eastern every day I would do this. So 2 p.m. Eastern is my idea. What is best for you? And I will take your answers into consideration. All right, traders, so what we're looking at here is the NASDAQ. And if you've been following along in my videos, I've been showing you this chart night after night as it forms. And we had this crazy flat top form. And we know the Oscarism, flat tops usually create market drops or produce market drops. That actually did happen, right? It came right down, bingo, as if it was scripted, right down to a trend line. Now let's talk about what should happen Wednesday, Thursday, where we are now top day. As you can see, it has completely recovered after this drop, technically because it got above this resistance. So this would be considered resistance. Why? The absolute high of the market connected to the next high, connected to the next high. Then we connected it to the next high, and it broke out of that. Boom. And it is above the 50-bar moving average. So it's above the average, it's above resistance, and we had a scary possible bear flag building here. And if you ask me, we are above that now. This could have been a bear flag right here. So I think that we are above the bear flag. I think that we are above the resistance. We are certainly above the average. Let me just make that look a little more like a flag. No extensions on there, and we'll put the red line in. So this could have been a bear flag building. But I say it's negated. It is not a bear flag. We're above the possible bear flag. We are above resistance. We are above the 50-bar moving average. And I say we continue to buy dips unless Omni flips and starts heading towards the dark side and Omni turns red. So for now, we're buying dips in NASDAQ. We do have the phenomenon of holiday reversals that could easily come our way, and spin that NASDAQ back down, but which is the reversal? We've been going in this direction for quite some time. So is this the reversal? Is it already happening? Tricky, right? And what's tricky about this reversal that could be this week is that it's a U.S. holiday only, and it's not worldwide. Will a reversal come? Will it not? It's much trickier on a U.S. only holiday. So we're not going to worry about the reversal at this moment in time. We will buy dips. We will follow the Omni. If a reversal comes our way, we'll deal with it as the week closes in. So that's your NASDAQ, and looking at it a little bit longer term view, it's really holding well inside of this long term channel, right? There's no trouble at all inside of this long term channel. Blue right here seems to be bouncing off the bottom. So for now, let's not think that the top is in. Let's think that we'll go take that top out, and we will trade this one day at a time. What does the E-mini S&P look like? Let's go look at that one. E-mini S&P, slightly different. It still could be inside of this unorthodox, but still there, bear flag forming. NASDAQ says no, as we just witnessed, but you could still be inside of this bear flag. What's interesting about this year so far is generally when Omni puts out its year-end targets, meaning in the beginning of the year, how high do we think the market will go? So each year I put a target when the market's at a specific price or whatever price it's at the time. I put a year-end target in that we should get to by December. Well, I put a year-end target in right here when we were at 36.50, right at the end of Jan, and we just about hit the target already. That's craziness. That's 3.5 months right to the year-end target. Now, this year, oddly enough, I've got a secondary S&P target, which I will produce as soon as we go past this green line. That would literally be 4260. If we can get past this right here, then I'll produce the secondary target. For now, we're going to maintain 4260 as our top-end target until we best it, and then we'll produce the next. But in 3.5 months, we literally went from the beginning of the year at 3650, expecting to take 12 months to get to 4260. 3.5 months, kids. That's volatility. Now, with volatility, stops begin to get larger. And lately, stops on Omni trades have been large, but there's nothing I can do about that. I don't create the stop myself out of thin air. If the market gets more volatile, my Omni stops will get wider, but in most cases, it keeps us in the good trade. So if you're seeing more volatility in your trading systems and your stops are widening, go with them, because that is supposed to take place when a market starts to gyrate and volatility starts to expand. Volatility gets greater or heightens, your stop must also get higher. So let's see what else we can take a look at. I think I've got a gold chart that caught my attention today. In fact, it did. So let's go look at this gold chart. Interesting that gold, and of course it's going to have its up and down days because gold is gold, but gold has gotten above a very interesting and smart trend line. Let me see if I can define that for you. Very interesting trend line from the high to the next high that was made, or I should say from the low, from this high to a lower high to the next lower high that was made. Instead of respecting that third high and at the 200 bar moving average, no less, it broke above. Now let me expand on the chart a little bit. It broke above the 200 bar moving average. It broke above this major resistance line, right? Then jumped ahead of the 200 bar, and now it's creating its own new channel on the way up. So gold may have some dips along the way, but for now we're starting to get signals that say you can buy the major dips in gold and probably be all right. So I thought I'd bring that to your attention because it sure did catch my attention. Especially if you pull back and maintain above this 200 bar moving average. I think that would be tremendous. The mic is up as high as it will go, Dano. That's about all I can do for you, brother. So, we've looked at the NASDAQ, we looked at the S&P chart, we looked at gold, and then something else caught my attention. And let's see where this is going. Now, I'm no proponent to say the top of the market's in. I'm not calling anything like that yet. The market will tell us if that's the truth. And we're about to see a contest of whether or not a double top is about to take place in two of our FANG stocks, or if they're just going to test up there and blast through. So take a look at this. I noticed this literally about 10 minutes before I was going to do this presentation for you. I believe I saved it here. Oh, yes. Look at Facebook, which has been a tremendous stock lately. But if you look at Facebook, Facebook rallying nicely, has a top, drops back down, holds the average, by the way, and then runs up. Is this a double top test? That's Facebook. So, you know, if you're looking at the FANG stocks, the first thing you think is, wow, is there anything else doing that same thing? Which is the first thing I thought. And I said, well, let's find out. And I went with Google, and lo and behold, look at that. Same sort of thing taking place right here. Two of our major market movers, market leaders, market components, full of volume from our hedge funds and you name it, everything else. So what will happen at the double top? As a general rule, when we see a double top, we sell a double top, and it'll work so often. It's a fantastic rule to go with. Will every double top work? No. If we can find one rule in technical analysis that worked 100% of the time, next time you see that trade, you can sell the farm on it, right? So nothing's 100%. But when we see a double top, we sell a double top is a great mentality to work with. Now, how do you handle that? You don't have to play hero and sell it now. You let it hit that double top, and if it has a day where it turns down, instead of going through the double top, then you can begin to short it. If it gets through the double top, well then, hey, maybe it's not a double top. So you don't have to play hero and sell it yet. Let's see what it does right here. Same goes with Facebook. So there's been a lot of interesting movement out there, and markets are getting more volatile. Now, there are some signs that it's getting slightly doomier and gloomier out there, right? But that doesn't usually happen overnight. Real estate is starting to, it's heated up to a point that people are starting to back off just a little bit now and say, well, maybe not, maybe that's too expensive, maybe I shouldn't do it. Other people are reaching a point where they just can't afford it. So that's starting to slowly, just ever so gently cool down a little bit. Probably wouldn't hurt us at all, moving away from charts and just speaking fundamentals. So if you could get that to cool down just a little, you know, maybe we could just keep this rally going. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to use the chart every day, and whatever the chart tells me to do, I will tell you. And that's how we'll handle these market moves. So I have not been able to follow the chat that takes place on YouTube because I've got too many windows open and I just can't look at it. So I'm going to pull it in front of me now and see what's on here. So we are asking for NVDA. Is that correct? NVIDIA? And for some reason you're not scrolling. I have no idea what you're telling me. Oh, there we go. All right, so NVIDIA and Bitcoin. Well, let's start with Bitcoin, being that it's certainly active out there. So Bitcoin, without showing you a chart that's prepared in any way, shape, or form, and you've seen many of those from me, you know it doesn't look good right now, right? What would you say about Bitcoin if you didn't know that this was Bitcoin? And I put this chart in front of any of you out there. You wouldn't look at that and first thing in your mind go, look how bullish that is, right? I'll have to assume you wouldn't do that, nor would I. Well, let's draw a few lines here. What seems to be happening now is this pennant flag craziness that is building. And boy, pennant flags make decisions very quickly usually. And you can even just move through that line and put it right here. Pennant flags tend to make their decisions very quickly. Why? Well, because you're coming to the apex of a pennant. It can't last much longer, and something has to give. The beauty of these pennant flags is they don't always have to be true to their nature. A bear pennant flag doesn't always have to be bearish. Bull pennant flag doesn't always have to be bullish, because if you take away the flagpole, you're just basically going towards an apex of a pennant, and whatever side of that apex you come out of, usually market will give you action in that direction. But for now, until it shows us it's not, that is a bearish apex, bearish flag in Bitcoin. It's May, right? So this is Bitcoin Daily. Now, that does not mean it has to go down. I'm just letting you know that if you put a gun to my head, I would tell you I wouldn't be long this thing unless it starts to go up for short-term trading. For long-term trading, I've been buying this entire dip. I literally have bought this entire dip, but I plan on buying and holding. I bought all the way to here. My best fills were right about here. I got lucky. I got 32.20s. And I will literally buy more if we crack down to the 20 area, 20 to 19. But of course, I've bought enough. I hope it goes up. I'll buy more if it goes down. Bitcoin for now, put a gun to my head. Downside's probably more likely than upside technically. We'll see where that's going. But there's something else. Ethereum literally is becoming a little bit of a leader lately. This is your ETH. So if we're going to do Bitcoin, you got to do ETH. ETH, I like it better for one reason. Above the average. Whatever bear flag was forming here, luckily for now, and this is absolutely a bear flag, don't kid yourselves. Luckily for now, it's starting to head out of the top of whatever craziness this is. I don't even know how to qualify it, whatever is going on here. We may be able to just cut out that bottom bar and call it a flag like this. We can kind of do whatever we want with it. I just know that it was a quick drop into a stall, which generally defines some kind of a weird flag. But if you take that stuff away, I'm looking at this. We did not take out the previous lows. We got blessed on the way down. We held previous lows. And now we're above the average. A couple of higher days, and I say this thing takes off. So I like ETH as far as the chart structure. Better than BTC, but we know Bitcoin is the leader. So anyway, that's my short-term take on ETH. My long-term take is I also bought this on the way down. I bought everything, every few hundred, every $500-700 down, I bought more. ETH and Bitcoin, we'll see where that ends up. So, RIOT, huh? We can do RIOT. Let's label. This is basically getting yourself into the blockchain space, if you like RIOT. What I'll tell you about RIOT is the same thing. There's only one saving grace at the moment, and that is we're not below previous lows. We made a low, we rallied up, made a drop. Rallied up, came back down, but did not take out that previous low. And when I see that, it at least gives me a little confidence that the market may want to turn around. That is about all I see, because when you go like this, once again, you got the same thing you have in crypto. Of course, you will have in blockchain or mining, and it's another bear flag. We'll change the color so it stands out for you. Now, this is very simplistic analysis. I totally get that. I'm not running omnis. I'm not doing anything sophisticated. I'm using basically analysis that anyone can understand, from starter traders, beginning traders, to you professionals out there. Of course, the omni is much more complicated, but no need to complicate things. This is pretty clear what you see going on here. So, the other side of this is, look at how you fell through. And I guess you can basically call this some kind of a channel on the way down. Something happened here on the way down. form of a channel. So, that's not looking great right now. And unless you can negate this bear flag and move up nicely, got to be worried. Now, what would you do with RIOT? Here's what I would do with RIOT. That's my opinion from looking at the chart. If Bitcoin and Ethereum go up, so too will RIOT. Someone wants to look at lumber. Oh boy. LBSN21, I think, should be lumber. So, gotta think lumber's topped, right? That's certainly capitulation up there. You'd have to think this would be a chartist dream when you want to look for capitulation, right? This whole thing, boom. So you have capitulation, and then you started to pull back from that capitulation. You said, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe we go back up. Complete failure right away and heading right back down again. So basically, lumber to me looks like you might have put the top in. It's going to take a lot of work now to get back past that top, obviously. So let's see. That would be fantastic. Now, I just mentioned earlier that I can see for myself real estate slowly, not cooling off by any means, reaching a point where people are having a tough time moving it now. It's too expensive to buy. It's too expensive to sell. So it's slowed down just a teeny bit, and lumber reacted just like that. So I think you might be thinking of buying puts in lumber. Scary market to trade, but don't let anybody know if you go in there. Do it by yourself, very quiet, head down. Don't let anybody see, cover your eyes, you know what I mean? If you're going to get in the lumber market, don't let them know you're there. What else am I seeing here? Tesla. Well, I didn't find anything interesting in Tesla, but we'll look at it. So, is anything interesting in Tesla? Not that I see at the moment. Let's get rid of some old stuff that doesn't work anymore. So, hasn't looked good since it's put its top area in. It's getting a little testy up here is basically what I gave you when we were up here. It's been a little testy ever since. We'll move that out of the way and take a look at what that means. Could be, and of course, we don't want it to be because we all love Tesla. But this could be, it's already a big flat, but what if this is a big flag? Like a big old bear flag. You can gyrate inside of this thing for quite some time. 760, 770, and still be in it. So, abstract long term. And what's inside of that? Well, you do have a head and shoulders inside of that flag. Right? That's clear. What else is clear is that you already put in a head and shoulders up here. Head, shoulder. And we'll just call this the shoulder, and we'll pull this down a little bit. Like that. Pull this red circle down a little bit. It's just to encompass everything. The circles are kind of meaningless, but it shows what the point I'm trying to make. And then you could call this the other shoulder, which then leads to another head and shoulders, this one. So that's not the best sign I've ever seen for long term. And this could be a bear flag. Now, we're not speaking short-term trading for Tesla because I would probably be looking at a buy signal for short-term trading. Much more abstract now, looking at, is there a structure taking place? Well, head and shoulders, another head and shoulders, possible bear flag or a big flat. I've seen better. Now, you know what this is probably telling us, in my opinion? This is the Ford F-150 right here. I'm going to make it blue. This is the Ford F-150 electric vehicle right here, showing you that Ford is going to sell way more of those than Tesla is going to sell its truck. The most popular truck in this country, maybe on the planet, is the Ford F-150. Ford announced a complete EV, electric vehicle, for $10,000 less than a gas fire. I assure you that's going to change the landscape for Tesla. So I think maybe this is what we're seeing. The chatter about the Ford F-150 in Tesla, if you want to talk about a fundamental. Fundamentals always come out in the charts first. And we'll see what all of that means. You guys wanted to look at DXY. That's always interesting. The ever-crashing dollar index. There should be more of it than that. That's all I can fit on here, huh? I think we better put that in a weekly just to fit more bars. No, that's not so pretty. So your dollar index, which basically if I could fit more bars on the chart, I'm not sure why it's not squeezing more in there for me. Let's try a different approach. Let's go with a continuation style chart. If that'll give me more bars. No difference. All right, I wanted to show you a better view of the dollar index and show you tons of bars, because if I did, the trend lines literally come down like this, like all the way from the top. This has been in a tailspin for quite some time, but the beauty of the US dollar is its tailspins are very slow and very subtle, and they don't rock the economy too much, and they don't seem to rattle a lot of feathers across the world. But the only opinion I can give you for now in the dollar is, while they are talking stimulus and printing dollars, you will continue to have downward channels. So this is the dollar. DXY. The thing about the dollar is, if stimulus is printing more money, so if stimulus is adding more money into the system, let's not talk about stimulus for a moment and the dollar. Let's say this was Facebook. If this was Facebook, and Facebook said, we're adding more shares, what's that do to their stock? Somebody want to answer that for me? If Facebook announced they were going to add more shares, millions of more shares, what does that do for the price of the stock? Makes it go down, right? So, if they're going to dilute Facebook with more shares, it would go down. Well, if you add stimulus, oh, I'm sorry, I have a typo here. Let me just correct that. If you add more dollars, you're adding more stock, and it has nowhere else to go. It dilutes. Very good. So you guys are paying attention. So forget about it being called the dollar. Just think about this as a stock. If every month or two the owner of the company, Mr. Biden at the moment, decides to add more stock and liquidity, what happens to the price of your stock? So the more they talk about stimulus, the more they add stimulus, the more they're diluting our dollar. So I only have one opinion for now. Until they stop with the stimulus, it can only go in one direction: sell the rallies. All right, traders, it's about 2:30. This is what I wanted to show you for today. I'm going to try to start to do these every day at around 2, or I'll try to be there every day at around 2. I thank you so much for tuning in. Please come join me at livewithoscar.com. And I will see each and every one of you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you once again for tuning in.